Another great reason for using these pans is that you can sear your ingredients in them and you can slow braise at the same time, or even roast. The versatility of them is exceptional. So the dish is a braised lamb leg with cumin and saffron. We've got various ingredients here, but the key, as always, is to get your pan onto the stove, get it turned on. I've got that on number 5, so I want my pan to be really hot. I want intensity when I'm searing my meat. But first of all, before we do that, we're going to put a cumin and salt rub onto the lamb. And to get those flavors into the meat itself, we need to gently just score the fat of the lamb. This is a braised dish, so by the time we get to the finished product, all of the meat will be cooked all of the way through and should just gently fall off the bone. So what we've got in this little bowl, 3 parts cumin to 1 part salt. Just gently sprinkle that over the top. Be generous. Don't be afraid of your seasoning. Right, the rub is now on. Pan, I've just turned up to number 7, so we've got some good heat in there. We've got a nice splash of oil. And the most important thing about searing is having a really good temperature into the pan. This is where the pan really does come into its own. Don't be afraid of high heat, and certainly of the smoke that's going to come off the searing of this meat. Touch of oil, it's all added flavour. To know when something like this is cooked, it's when the meat just gently falls away from the bone. So you can't always get the time just right or follow an exact recipe. You've got to use your own judgment. Searing is really important, and I think sometimes we don't sear enough our meats, and that's where you start to seal in the flavour. The rings in the pan are the key to success when it comes to searing. They generate the heat, they hold the heat in, and that's where you get that lovely charred flavour. As you can see, searing is now taking place. Don't be afraid of the heat, don't be afraid of the smoke, and don't worry about that residue in the bottom of the pan. That's all flavour. No matter where the lamb's moving around, whatever part of the pan the meat is touching, it's being seared. Right, so that's our lamb leg, beautifully coloured. What you want to do now is just take it out gently, be careful, let that rest. Now I'm just going to lose some of this fat and just leave a little bit of fat in the pan. What we've got here is some red onion, carrots, celery. And gently mix those around. Now what they're doing is they're taking up all of that lovely flavour and the residue that was in the bottom of the pan, and you can see the vegetables picked up all of that cumin. And if I lift the pan, spotless. And that's the non-stick point. The rings have delivered the heat and that intensity of searing, and the non-stick, that just allows all those fabulous flavours of the cumin to now stick and wrap around those beautiful vegetables. The smell is incredible. So we just gently let those cook away. As you can see, I've just added the garlic. I've broken up the head of garlic, and I've just crushed the cloves, but I've left the skin on. Skin for me and the garlic is as much as flavour as the garlic itself. But because it's a braised dish and it's going to be cooking for 2.5–3 hours, that skin will beautifully break down and add more flavour into your dish. We're going to add some herbs. Of course, rosemary is the flavour that works with lamb so well. The flavour of this dish is all about the lamb that is then seasoned with this beautiful spice, saffron. As soon as you add the saffron, you can really start to smell that beautiful floral smell that it brings to the dish. I'm just going to add some thyme and a little bit of flat parsley. What I love about cooking like this is the rustic value of it. Having the herbs, have something growing in your garden, go out, pick your herbs, put them in, be generous. Pack this dish full of flavour. The key flavours are your lamb, your cumin and your saffron. But adding the floral notes of the herbs, the parsley, the thyme and the rosemary is just a beautiful addition, and it just adds layer upon layer of flavour. But cumin and saffron together is a marriage made in heaven. So we've gently sweated that down, letting all of the herbs and spices do their thing. And again, you can see the pan is still clear, still crystal clean. We've got a couple of tablespoons of tomato puree. Just mix that in gently. We're going to add our liquid. So we've got our passata, our chicken stock, a little bit of cream. And there you have it, your sauce is ready to go. And you know you've got a good pan and an even distribution of heat because you've got the bubbles just bubbling across all the surface of the pan. It smells incredible. It tastes delicious. What you're going to do now is I'm going to lift the lamb and put that into that sauce, and that lovely lamb fat, that lovely flavour will start to release itself into the juices and into the sauce, and the sauce will gently start to thicken. Just gently baste some of the sauce over the top. so. Just place the lid on. Just let that come up to boil. Finish it off with just a few more herbs. Parsley. Always a final pinch of salt. Twist of pepper. Go to the oven. Just take some of the sauce and just nappe over the lamb. What I love about these pans, you can go from the hob to the oven and then to the table. So I've got some fresh rosemary, some fresh coriander. As the herbs start to drop into the sauce, they start to release those beautiful pungent fresh flavours. And as always, be generous. Finish with a little bit of pomegranate, texture, colour and flavour. And there we have it, a perfect example of hob to oven to table. My braised leg of lamb with cumin and saffron.